Welcome to ADHD Whiskey. My name is Matt, and today I'm telling you about my guilty pleasure bourbon. A while back, I was sent a sample of a bourbon that I had never tried before, even though I knew all about it. I had never reviewed it before, I had never tasted it before. Heck, I just left them on the shelves at the store. The reviews on this particular whiskey are not what some people would consider to be great. But after tasting it blind, I went out and bought myself a bottle, and I'm ashamed to say I absolutely love it. Before I reveal to you my guilty pleasure bourbon, let me first reveal to you another thing I absolutely love, today's video sponsor. Today's video is brought to us by our great friends over at Magic Spoon. You've never heard of Magic Spoon? What planet are you living on? Plutron? Magic Spoon is a high-protein, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, wheat-free, naturally flavored, totally delicious, childlike cereal for grown-ups. But don't tell my children that, because guess what? They love Magic Spoon too. And they eat all of my Magic Spoon, so I have to keep buying Magic Spoon because my children won't stop eating it. Magic Spoon comes in a variety of nostalgic flavors that bring you back to your childhood when you pour yourself a bowl. And if you click on my link in the description below and use code ADHD at checkout, you'll save $5 off your Build Your Own Variety box. You can get all the flavors your little nostalgic heart desires. Today, we'll see if I'm nuts for Honey Nut. One thing I love about Magic Spoon is how crunchy it is. I eat Magic Spoon for breakfast. Sometimes I have it for lunch. Sometimes I have it for dinner. Sometimes I have it in between. Sometimes I sneak it in the middle of the night when nobody's looking. But guess what? None of anybody's business. I enjoy every bite because Magic Spoon is a delight. Now that we talked about today's video sponsor, let me go ahead and tell you about my guilty pleasure pour. Chad and Sarah from It's Bourbon Night sent me this in a blind flight, and I loved it so much I had to go out and buy a bottle. Do I really love it? I don't know. But I do enjoy it. I think it's really good. What am I talking about? Come on, Matt, just break it to us. What is your guilty pleasure bourbon? All right, super sorry, I'll go ahead and tell you. My guilty pleasure pour? Legend from the Jim Beam Distillery. Why do I like Legend so much? I have no idea. America. Legend is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey partially finished in wine and sherry casks. It's from the Jim Beam Distillery. The bourbon inside the bottle was distilled by Jim Beam's master distiller Fred No, and then it was blended by the world-renowned chief blender Shinji Fukuyu. If that is not how you pronounce his name, I'm very sorry, but I just sounded it out the best way I possibly could. This bad boy comes in at 94 proof. The bottle is super sharp looking. It's got a nice friggin' cork on it. It says Kentucky, Japan right on the stopper. Two legendary creators behind some of the world's most revered whiskeys have come together to bring you something special. Expertly distilled by 7th generation master distiller Fred No and then refined by world-renowned chief blender Shinji Fukuyu. Legend is a marriage of East and West. It's a celebration of the craftsmanship of the Kentucky bourbon balanced with the artistry of Japanese blending. From rich aromas of mature oak and lingering spice to the flavors of dried fruits pulled from the wine and sherry casks, every sip of Legend is worth savoring and sharing. Two true legends, one truly unique bourbon. If you were unaware, Jim Beam is owned by Suntory. It's Beam Suntory, so their parent company is like a much larger entity than Jim Beam itself, which is where this relationship came from, obviously. Why do I call this my guilty pleasure whiskey? Well, it's because a lot of people gave this thing some negative reviews. Not a lot of hype came off of this bottle, and for that reason I never bought one. But I keep going back to it for sips, like I'm doing something wrong. There's nothing wrong with savoring a little sip of something that other people aren't extra fond of, and that's what I'm doing here with this Legend. Color, beautiful color. The wine and sherry casks that this Jim Beam distillate was finished in provides a bit of a dusty note on the nose. It almost smells like a dusty whiskey, like something from the 80s or 90s. Lots of dark red fruits, like dates. Some dates and some raisins are coming off the nose of here. Just an extra enjoyable, sweet, fruity. There's a little bit of that peanutty funkiness in there from the Jim Beam distillate, but it's not like overpowering anything. There's a tiny bit of sulfur on the nose as well, which sometimes you get from a wine finished bourbon. That residue from a blown out match, that sulfury residue, is in this a little tiny bit, but it's not off-putting at all. It's actually a bit on-putting. It's kind of making me like, ooh, a little bit of like, what's going on there? Now let's go in for a sip of this 94 proof guilty pleasure. Down the hatch. Oh yeah, I like this stuff. It's a $35 bottle, and if you haven't had it yet, I'd recommend picking up a bottle, man. I really like it. I really friggin' like it. For a $35 bottle, it's unique, it's interesting, it's sweet. You're getting traditional bourbon flavors, but then the wine and sherry casks add an extra dimension, an extra layer of like fruity spiciness that's kind of like tingling around in the mouth. It's pretty oily for being 94 proof. The finish is lingering. You're not getting a ton of the nuttiness that you typically get from a younger Jim Beam product. It's just not there. It's just not presenting itself in full force in your face. It might be like an underlayment in this whiskey, like ripping up your hardwood to find carpet underneath. It's kind of there, but hidden a little bit, but offering a bit of a cushion when you walk, or taste in this case. Yeah, this Legent is nice. Second sip. Second sip seems a bit thinner. Maybe a tinge of youthfulness is coming out on the second sip. I enjoyed the first sip more, but the second sip is still offering pleasurable mouth feelings. It's actually kind of nice to know that I can enjoy something this much for 35 bucks. If I have to give Legent a score, I would probably go 7.4. It's good. It is good. If you haven't tried it and you've only avoided it because of the reviews, I would say definitely go give it a shot. Maybe try a pour at a bar if a local watering hole has one up on the shelf. If a friend has a bottle, try theirs if you haven't. Or if 35 bucks is just 35 bucks and you don't really give a crap, go out and buy a bottle of it and see if you like it for yourself. 7.4 Legent, my guilty pleasure pour. Just don't tell anybody that I enjoy it, otherwise it might embarrass me. Thank you for watching this video. Leave a comment below. What's your guilty pleasure? And it doesn't even have to be whiskey related. It can be anything. My name is Matt. This is ADHD Whiskey. Like I always say, keep your head in the clouds, but your mind on having other guilty pleasures like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Shakira, Kesha, definitely Kesha, Miley Cyrus, Stitches, all musical artists that are playing in my head all day because they've played through some speakers earlier that day. And then I can't get the songs out of my head. Don't stop, make it hop. I also like to watch iZombie on the Netflix because it's just a good show. I've got so many guilty pleasures that I'm too embarrassed to even talk about. But if you're in the same boat as me, just know that you're totally normal. Or you're extra abnormal. And keep that shit a secret.